This is Kelly Einbinder, the best artist that I know of so far. I love Kelly's art, San Diego artist. When I look at these paintings, Kelly, and I have many of your pieces at home, I'll stare into them. And I wonder, and I don't know why I haven't even asked you more about that, like maybe because my fantasy of what they are, I'm imagining this like dream-like scenarios, kind of like a movie, but like in my head, like a dream-like scenario of what's happening here. But why don't you tell me, what are these to you?
I like that you brought up dream.
Yeah.
I actually started painting because of a lucid dream I had.
Okay.
Where I went to art galleries to see paintings. I wanted to see like what my paintings would look like. Didn't know how to make things happen in the dream, but I was like, oh man, I'm supposed to go to an art gallery. And then all of a sudden I see a board or something, and it's like art gallery open today. And I walk in, and there's 3 different like galleries rooms, and on the left side is like kind of cartoonish type thing, and I wasn't super drawn to it. Far right side was this kind of like sort of minimal, a little bit dark, had a lot of textures, these oil paintings of like figures, like loose figures. And the middle room was like a combination of the both. But I went to the right-hand room, and I was drawn to this one specific painting. And I like walked up to it, and there's this guy next to me, and I look at him. It's kind of cliche. In the dream, it felt really profound that he said something like, that's you and painting, right? That's you standing still amongst the chaos. And I was like in the dream, it was felt super profound. And then I started to like lose lucidity and whatever. And I woke up, felt like I have to paint this painting. When I started painting, I kind of like, I had drawn all my life, and I was sort of, I wanted to look like I had skill, or, And then when I started painting, I was just like I wanted to like vomit on the canvas. And so I just like gave myself permission to make ugly art, started painting, and like couldn't stop. Anyways, fast forward a bit. Yeah, so I started having health problems. I became pretty much bedridden, unable to do any of my things. I played piano, chess. I was an athlete for most of my life. I couldn't do any of these things for a long time. I didn't know if I'd ever be able to paint again. I started doing this brain retraining stuff that has to do with like neuroplasticity. One of the reasons that it was hard to make art as well is because part of my illness stuff is related to being like hypersensitive to chemicals, mold. I have autoimmune stuff, but so I couldn't like paint inside. I didn't even use like paint supplies for a while. And then I'd had to make art outside. That led me to finding this park, Presidio Park, which feels like this hidden gem of San Diego. And there's like these big benches. I kind of like had my whole setup. When I started doing art, it's like I could only do it for like 10 minutes at a time. And I used to work on like big canvases actually, so this was kind of new. Like my life, like the focal point became forcing myself out of bed every day and just like going to the park. Like I would like crawl if I had to. Like it didn't really matter how sick I was. Like sometimes I'd just get there in my car and just like cry because I felt so sick. And I'd just be like, get to the bench. You just have to make it to the bench. And sometimes I'd have to go home, and then other times it's like as soon as I get into a flow state, everything else is gone. And so like that's how piano worked for me. It's like if I feel really sick and if I'm able to get into a flow state, that stuff, at least temporarily, it kind of goes away. As for like my process in terms of like what this means, in art, it feels like probably the only space where I can express like all of who I am. Like there's no like, oh, you're too much or this. It's like I feel like it's coming from the part of my brain that dreams. When I come to a blank piece, which is like it's never easy. It never gets easy. Like, I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it, you know? It's like when you come to a blank canvas, it's just, I would just be like, you just have to fucking start something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, given whatever state I was in, sometimes it'd be like a figure, like, you know, like an emotional sort of expressive figure. And then, yeah, they just build and build on themselves. If I just keep going,
Yeah.
it will turn into something. And it's like this process of sort of trusting, like I can erase stuff, I can build over it. And sometimes I'd make it to this point where it's like, it's so ugly, I'm gonna put it away, just don't think about it. And to the point where I almost don't care about it. And then I'll bring it out again. I'll be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want to this, because it's already ugly. And then those are some of my best work, because I'm just like, I'm gonna do this like radical thing to this piece. Since it is coming from this like dream space, it's kind of like I'm not controlling my dreams. And a lot of my earlier paintings, there's always guns. Notice like a theme, and I'm like, oh, that's it. You know, like I will look back and be like, oh wow, there's like a lot of guns, and they're all painted pink. Like that's interesting. I mean, the poison stuff, my illness in and of itself. I mean, not only did I get sick partially from being poisoned, but I also feel like I'm chronically poisoned. Like it feels like a chronic like hangover slash like a little bit of a like tripping and a little bit of withdrawal. Like it just feels like this sense of poison. So there might be like tidbits of, you know, things that I felt or some symbolism.
I mean, like in this one, for instance, this figure here looks like they're running a show type situation.
Yeah.
And they have a large hand, like a large hand in what per se? But like these are the things that I come up with when I'm looking. Like, what does this figure that looks like a circus operator, you know, a circus runner, you know, running this show that also could be like a farce in some way. It's phenomenal. And several hands, one that is grabbing at the inside of a heart. I mean, I love that my imagination runs wild when I'm looking at this. That I truly can be, at least in some small infinite form, inside your being for a second or so. And that's what I love about these.
I want this to be the viewers, like their imaginations. What do they see? What do they feel? What kind of stories are they coming up with? It's not intentional, but people will look at the same painting and get so many different things out of it. And I love hearing what people think, because I'm like, it's almost like my subconscious is doing it for me.
I bring this theme up when I'm guiding people in their artwork. One of the themes is to trust our hearts entirely and completely when doing art. I hope that people can take that lesson and bring it into their life and see that if they follow their heart completely, to suspend and to rethink how we were talking about skill, which to me equals like the societal realm that we have been institutionalized in. But if you go into the side of going over the edge into the unknown, easily we fall into the magic. I'm saying this in front of you because I want people to believe me when I say this, because it's not just me who's had this success when they do this. But here's another person diving into their artistry like that, just with abandon, the way that we should be, and that there's success, and that we can take that into life and also find success in our daily life like that, if we don't turn away from our heart, if we follow it completely.
It's hard to take this into the real world.
It is hard. It's the battle we have within us every day. There is no other battle. Everything is a mirror of everything. And it's almost like gravity. It's not like, oh, here we don't have gravity, but here on this earthly plane we have gravity. No, we have gravity everywhere. And the rules apply in both realms of existence, in the artist realm and in the life realm. The rules apply on equal ground.
we've been inundated just by these systems we live within and internalize them, like this thing around perfectionism, things looking good, as a challenge to the self, like as an act of self-love, and even for other people, like it's a gift for other people. And I started posting stuff online, and people would tell me how it resonates with them, or allow them to like experience feelings that they wouldn't normally allow themselves to, or there's just a feeling of like I'm not alone. I feel a little bit selfish in my art making because it is most for me, but it's a huge bonus that other people get stuff from it, it really is.
Yes, I've experienced that lately. Art has the universal language to real soul connections. For instance, I love art, of course, and I know what it does for me, and I thought that it mostly was for me. And then I put up the art gallery, very much for selfish reasons, because I was tired of not seeing the kind of gallery that I wanted, or not feeling confident to put up my art in another gallery, and for fear of like, are they going to rip me off like they always do, and all that shit that happens. So I thought, just do it yourself. Like you do all the things. Like if you don't find it, just do it your own damn self how you want to. And worst case scenario, you exhibit your art for a while, you exhibit your son's, your friend's art for a while, and that's it. That's your selfish reasons for doing it. Like your best friends can exhibit here. Great, that sounds like a great idea. And then I put up the art, and within the first couple of days, a lady passed by, and she kind of looks, and then she keeps walking, and then a few minutes later, she comes back. And she's like, I really needed to come in here. She's like, I don't even know what's going on in here. Is this even a gallery? Should I be in here? I'm like, yes, come in, please. This is a place to look at art, discuss art. That's what I want to do. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to have a place where I just talk about this stuff 24/7, because I'm starving for this conversation all the time. I can't get enough of it. And it turns out, incredibly enough, that everyone is starving for this conversation. Everyone is starving for this conversation, because this is where we meet on the earthly plane, where we're discussing essence of truths and emotions and the things that this existence is. This is the language for this existence. There is no other language. My own selfish reasons are not just that. There's people that need to hear all this. They want to talk about this, and they're starving for this exact conversation.
I had a moment sort of similar to that. I had like one piece up at a show. I decided like at the very last minute to show this piece at the show, and wrote like a little tidbit, and there's this woman like obviously engaged with it, and said something about that I'm disabled and sick, but it wasn't super specific. And she was just kind of like very drawn to it, and turned out that her daughter has the same illness, and that she had been going through this process with her for like the last decade, and then we were both crying and talking to each other, and it was just like, it was so meaningful to me. And I don't have a lot of energy, so it's like I have to choose what I do with my time, and this is what I've dedicated most of the last decade to.
Incredible.
So,
Incredible.
Thank you so much.
I love this.